Hi, welcome to my channel, Gigi's Altered Objects. Today we are going to make this wonderful little mini booklet enclosure for our second to last page. I learned how to do this watching Web of Creativity with Melisa Merritt. I hope you always remember to give credit where credit's due when you see someone do something wonderful. I have pre-cut, excuse me, and pre-inked and taped the back of the pages to try to help the video go along smoother. So anything that is done with more of a pink has this picked raspberry ink on it. Again, one of Tim Holtz's distressed inks. And the blue, or rather aqua, I use the peacock feather distressed ink. All right, so we're going to begin. We're going to need one piece of paper, a black cardstock, that is 6 by 12 inches long. And I will remember to put all of these measurements in the description box below. Okay, so first we're going to need to make a flap. So we are going to score this at the 1 inch line. And that is going to be for part of the closure. Now we need to put 2 more scores. We need to put it at the 5 1/4 inch line. And at the 5 1/2 inch line. These a nice crease. Melisa, excuse me, I seem to have a frog in my throat this afternoon. Melisa did this booklet, a whole booklet, and she uses these as detachable pages in her booklet. It really is quite cool. I'm going to use it as an insert. I'm going to round all the corners. She also had a cool crocodile that I don't have that trims the corners at an angle. I like that. All right, then you're going to need 2 pieces of paper that are 5 by 10 1/2 inch cardstock. And for this, we're going to score it at the 5 1/2 inch line. We want one part of the flap to be a little longer than the other one. That's why we're not scoring it in half. And you'll see why that's important when we start building the book. Okay, so we're going to go to the 5 1/2, and again, I will put all these measurements in the description box. To the 5 1/2 inch line. And I'm going to do that to 2 pieces of paper. 2 pieces of cardstock at the 5 1/2 inch. There we go. So you see, that looks a little large. We might have to trim it, but we will check and see. But you can tell how the back is actually going to be the one that is smaller. Okay, and that just looks a little big to me. I'm wondering if I redid my measurements and didn't put them on there. So I am going to cut 1/2 inch off of this because it seems much larger than I need. And you'll see from the design of this that it's actually better. It's less hazardous to be a little short than it is a little long, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So we're going to do that to both of these. And I'm going to adjust my measurements too. So if you started with your paper at 10 inches instead of 10.5 inches, that is the measurement that I did not redo. Her measurements weren't the same as mine because I needed it to fit in my book, and the largest size of our book is 6 inches. So it's just a matter of playing with that. Okay, so the other thing we need to remember is that the smallest end is going to go in. I'm going to start by just placing the papers there before I glue them down. That way you can see this is what you'll do to make sure that your measurements are right. Just put it a little before your score line on each side and make sure that the smaller flap is on the bottom. Because when it opens, when it's glued down, these smaller flaps will be on the bottom. And there's one more thing I need to tell you. We need another score line in there after our tape, but I'll show you how to do that. So tape goes on the side that's shorter. Right here. And then you'll want to put a score line after that. That was something else. She used tape, and I ran out of that smaller tape, so I didn't put that score line on purpose. You could just measure yours first if you want to. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. You're just going to want to score on the other side of that tape. You know what? I think my other score pad will work better. Okay, so we're on the shorter side, and we're going to bud the tape right up to our score mark and go over it a couple times. Perfect. And you'll see why you're going to need that in a moment. Okay. Other one. Make sure you're scoring on the short side. Perfect. All right. Peel your tape off. You know, that's why I always smooth it down with the bone folder. It just seems to pop off a little easier. My parrot's been having fun picking at my fingernails. That's why I haven't gotten a manicure done in a while. So I want mine to be in the middle. You can use a ruler in the middle from here to here. I'm just going to eyeball it and make sure I get it close to that line. We'll just do that to make sure we're not on that line. That way you still know it'll close. And now because you put that score line there, the flap opens. Okay, same thing on this side. We're making sure we have the shorter side forward. And I forgot to round these edges. We can do that. So I'm going to line this one up here so that I know we're even. And here. There we go. So when we open it, we will have flap, 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 and close. Voila. And because you have those two score lines on the bottom, you also have, let's make that a little more pronounced. That's what's going to make it room for all your goodies inside. There we go. See? Okay. And remember to round your corners if you want. I made one ahead of time to help the rest of the video go a little faster. So the next thing we need to do is we need to put magnets for closures. So I'm going to take my magnet and I'm going to put it towards the top to make sure that it has plenty of room to reach where I want it to go. I'm going to put another one on top of that. A little double-sided tape. It's the way to ensure you're going to be exactly where you want to be. Peel your tape off. Which is hard when you have no fingernails left. There is a tool. I don't usually need the tool. Things are changing. Okay, there we go. Get it back on there. And the reason you do that, of course, is so that when you close it, it's going to go exactly where you need it to be. Okay, and then we can, all of these, this flap is 5 3/4 by 12/16, and you'll need one for each side of your little flap. Again, I'll put all of those on the in the description box below. I'll give you all the dimensions that I wrote down. Your little flaps are 2 different sizes because one is a little bigger, and because we have a magnet, I like to use a little liquid glue around it, and just because it'll be opened and closed, I like to add a little liquid glue. Be sure I'm getting that where I want it. Okay, and so my outside covers are going to be with this pink paper. All of these papers are cut from the 12 by 12, and these are from the actual paper pad, not from the solids and patterns. And then the flaps on the outside are all the same size. Just watch for your orientation and where you've rounded your corners. Uh-oh, what did happen to my magnet? Do we need to redo that? Hold on, let me fix that. All right, there's another magnet on there, all nice and secure. Let's make sure I'm putting all these right side up. Yes. I put a little extra glossy accent around the magnet to keep it in place. All right, the back cover, I did not round these corners because the back is all square. I used the same pattern as on the front. Of course, you're going to use any pattern you like. Stay away from your score marks. On this paper, I think I used it to make a couple tags or mats with. I like both sides of this one, but it says, imagination can take you anywhere. I thought that was inspirational. And I'm trying to stay away from that score mark. There we go. While I'm doing this, I can tell you one of my tricks, and I actually have no idea where it came from. I might have been looking at something about life hacks, but I'll tell you when I tried it, it worked wonderfully. We have been working, well, I have been working on umbrellas, parasols, decorating them for our second line. So on the edge of, not ostrich feathers, we had to leave those alone. Their plumes don't take well to glue, but on some very tight feathers that I have, I could put glue and glitter on the ends, and that way I could give them accents of color that the different people have asked for. Well, glitter gets everywhere. One of my favorite hacks is to use a lint brush that you would use to get lint off your clothes, a roller. So after you've cleaned up the glitter, or before, you can just, you know, they have a section on there, you just peel it off and go to the next one. I cleaned it up with a wet paper towel first, then dried the desk well, and there's still a couple pieces, but overall, it did pretty well. Let's see. So the two larger, or the four, because you have the front and the back, the four larger flaps are cut 4 3/4 by 5 1/4. So you'll use 4 of those. Stay away from those lines. Okay, so those are the 4 we've done. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're moving on to the smaller flaps, and the smaller flaps are 4 3/4 by 4. And what I'm doing is I'm measuring at this end first, and then just making sure I'm staying away from the score line. Right, couple more to go, and then I will show you she called them pockets at first, but then she changed the terminology up, and basically they're like little holders, little stoppers. A place for you to tuck a tag is what I usually refer to them as. And let me say that Melisa, oops, I didn't put glue on that one. Melisa also mentioned, and I did it first, so I didn't get to demonstrate it with you. A lot of the papers have a certain orientation. If it's just a pattern, it really doesn't matter. But since they have a certain orientation, you have to watch that you're putting it up and down properly. The position of your paper, and when you're trimming the corners so that you don't end up having it upside down instead of right side up. So I did mine each individually, holding it up to the paper, making sure that I was putting what I wanted to put there. And then once you run around the corners, it's pretty hard to get the wrong piece in the wrong place. Okay, and now we're on the very back piece, and the very back is the same as the other, as the outside pieces, except it's also square since there's no round edges here. And those were 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. I know it's upside down to you, but it's hard for me to get it just so. Okay, now we're going to place our little holders that are going to hold our tags in. I created 2 tags. So this has an elephant that's fussy cut from one of the papers, and I just used one of my, I used this punch, and I've told you about it before. This one is from the Paper Studio, and we'll tuck Fabulous in there and a little tag in there. So we have my baby wipe. Need a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Have I hid it for myself? Oh, I brought it downstairs to make flowers. I don't think my baby wipe. Oh, there we go, good. Okay, so we have flap, wrong, flap, 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 flap. And then on this side, we're going to put here so that it doesn't get in the way of our words. Imagination could take you anywhere. I don't know why I put that on the top. I am going to leave that and redo it. I think I want the bottom and the inside. Okay. And here we're going to tuck in, this is one of the postcards. Find the joy in the journey. And a tag. The tag behind. And then it closes with our magnet. And we need to make a page for it to go on. You know what, maybe you might need a flap that's a little bigger. I may end up having to include a ribbon around this. Sometimes after I work with it for a minute, the magnet will work. But it's not right now. If all else fails, you can tie something around it or make a longer flap with a magnet on the end. That might work better, especially since we're going to put more stuff in it. Okay, we used these papers for the front cover. Now we put the first page on, but not the cover because we have to cover the book first. So we have a 6x6 paper, And then we have a 2" by 8" paper, and I have scored that on the 1" lines on both sides. Because our book is going to fit tight right in there. So you know what? I'm even going to have to make it a little bigger. Good for testing. I could show you how to make it a little bigger. About 1/4 of an inch, we're going to give it another score line so that it stands out. So we have 2 scores. Okay, that's going to make it stand out a little on the sides. Do you see that? Okay, we're going to do that to the other side too. Hers slid over a different type of binding that she used, but that won't work with our book. Her whole book again was removable pages. All right, so we are going to put our pocket. Let's see, do I want it on the side? I think instead I'm going to do it on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to put tape here, here, and along the bottom. And we're going to need some liquid glue as well. Remember, in the middle, on the bottom, our book is large enough that it's not going to fall through. If you're going to do tags, you have to be a little more careful, but this is going to be just fine. I'm going to do one side at a time so I can get it right on the edge. I forgot to put my liquid glue on the bottom, but hey, we can still do that. I'm only going to put a little line right on the bottom. It has that tape on there. That's going to help as well. You want to be sure not to put it too close to the edge. That might be a little close to the edge, because we don't want that to bind. Okay. Slide our book right inside. Perfect. There we go. This one is going to go on our second to last page. Oh, I was going to put some decorations on this. It says color your world, and I put black lace through that. I thought that would look nice right here. I like to use a little lace now and again, and when I do, I like to use this craft medley craft glue. It says it's machine washable safe, and it never discolors my ribbons. It's very dependable. And it tacks pretty quickly and holds the material just where you want it. We'll put some along the edges too, since this isn't going to be a pocket. You could use it as an extra pocket or a belly band if you would like. Let's make sure I'm not putting it upside down. Wrap around a little. I might need to put a clip on there. Okay, so I am going to glue this page right here, and all we have left to do, we're going to glue it right here, all we have left to do is make the inserts that are going to slide in between the pages. Those are fairly easy. They'll all be the same measurements. We will make the back cover page, but we won't put it on yet, and we'll decorate the outside and be done. Thank you for visiting. I hope you like this stage of the project. I think we're on stage 15. Happy crafting. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe. Y'all have a great day.